Welcome back, Wash Up Walk-Ons fans, episode 279 of the podcast. And number 279 is probably number one in the special category for me personally. The guest today is a professional in the sport that I very first fell in love with. He is a two-time major champion, got at least a dozen wins on the PGA Tour, green jacket and a claret jug that we have actually had the pleasure to hold in the locker room after a victory. A guy that has a mentality similar to the one that we tried to form this podcast on, the walk-on mentality, somebody who just bet on himself when nobody else did. His whole career has formed from being the underdog at one point, graduate of Drake University, rabid Hawkeye fan, and as I learned today, listener of our podcast, which blows my mind. Mr. Zach Johnson, welcome to the Wash Up Walk-Ons podcast, and this is an absolute true pleasure.
Shoot, pleasure's mine, guys. I'm pumped we could get it done. I wish we could have done it earlier, but you guys have been busy. Granted, I've got a lot of stuff going on, but you know what? Hey, tis the season, and pumped to be a part of it.
Tis the season. This is for our listeners and for us, really, Zach. This is the best Christmas gift that we could really come up with. So we sincerely appreciate your time doing this with us. And this is the downtime for you, right? Or is it kind of?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, this time, kind of, yeah. I mean, yes, specifically this week, yes. There's obviously not a whole lot going on with the holidays, but I mean, shoot, you could play really. I could have played this past weekend. I mean, that PNC, father-son championship was going on. I mean, it's a silly season. It's a fun event. I actually watched golf for the first time in a long time. But
what did you think about watching Tiger and Charlie finishing 13 under on the last 14 holes on Sunday, wearing Sunday red? Like, that had to make every golf fan on earth's heart smile.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just the fact that he was out there swinging a golf club was just captivating and awesome. I mean, I communicate with him every now and again, and I don't really pry or ask many questions. Frankly, it's none of my business. So but I know some of the individuals and some of his close friends, and I think he's ahead of schedule, is based on what I've kind of been told as of late. But I think he said it perfectly in his press conference. I guess it would have been 2.5 weeks ago. He's like, I don't know what the future holds. He doesn't, it's one thing to go around and play 2 rounds of competition in a golf cart, right? It's another to play 5 rounds of golf, basically Wednesday through Sunday for multiple weeks at a time. Walking 72 holes, 90 holes. So that, I know it's just golf, but it does obviously take a toll, and your legs are a big part of that. So I don't know. I'm just glad that he's very much a part of the game of golf, and he will continue to be. It just depends on to what capacity. So yeah, I was captivated. And plus I got other buddies that are playing on that thing. My dad and I have talked about playing. It just hasn't worked out, but maybe sometime down the road. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I mean, kind of a hit and giggle kind of thing, but yet there's also a competition involved. And like you said, Greg, I mean, knowing Tiger, he is livid that they made a par 5 on the last hole tournament.
And who's more livid than Tiger? Charlie. Because Charlie is the new most electric player in golf. I apologize to everybody else in the sport. The kid is absolutely captivating.
He really is. I mean, dadgummit, he's like, good looking, he's cute. He's got a perfect golf swing. He's pedigree. He's got everything right now going for him. And yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I remember Charlie and Sam, our kids kind of lined up. So, Will, my oldest, and Wyatt they kind of lined up, and we call it golf school. They get dropped off, and then it's glorified daycare, right? But they do a great job. And then they were true of their friends, right, back in the day. So strange, full circle, how things work out. And now this little kid is I pity the kids that are in his, decade of golf, because they're going to be, they got another woods they got to deal with like we did forever. But impressive.
Is that
so?
Yeah.
One of my biggest questions for you, because Tiger Woods is my number one favorite athlete of any sport, any generation to ever exist. There is no athlete who I care about or have enjoyed watching compete more than the big cat. And you have been in the final 9 holes, the back 9 on a Sunday in a major with Tiger Woods breathing down your neck. And I have to know what that feels like, because like I said, being him being my favorite athlete, there's nobody else on earth who I would have wanted to compete against more.
Right. No, he's one of mine. I mean, let's face it. Now, I mean, my mentality, and personally speaking, I've always enjoyed the individuals, the teams that shouldn't, but do, or have the opportunity to do it. And that's kind of always been my driving force. I've always been kind of one of those guys that, I was just a kid chasing a dream, and I know what the stats say. I know what the odds say. I know what, everybody else is really saying, and I shouldn't. And so taking that mentality into, the last stretch of a tournament, specifically the last 9 holes, like you mentioned, I think can be very beneficial. I mean, shoot, all the pressures, I got nothing to lose, right? I mean, I'm not supposed to be here probably. And when I am there, I'm not supposed to succeed. So why not? I mean, I go back to a lot of my keys and triggers that got me to that point. That's what I focus on, rather than focusing on the big picture. But I mean, the bottom line is when Tiger's around or in the lead, on Sunday in a tournament, I mean, I don't know what the numbers say, but I guarantee you he's come out on top more than the opposite. So I'm just supposed to go out there and be me, and that's what I did. I mean, I say all that. I've gotten the best of him. Just off the top of my head, I can think of maybe two times, maybe 3 times if I have to really delve into it. But I guarantee you, he's gotten the best of me a lot more than that. And that's, I mean, we're talking about the best player, arguably the best athlete, I think, in the last 25 years. So
Preach it.
To have him play our sport and take it to heights that no one ever dreamt of is fascinating. And frankly, we owe him a great deal of debt. He knows that. We know that. I'm just glad that he's still around. The accident and everything that's going on, he's still here. He's still a part of golf. And unfortunately, in my story is we're 2 months apart. His birthday's in the next few days, actually, if I'm not mistaken. And we both turned 46. So I've had to deal with it a long time, but it's a great problem, because he's, like you mentioned, he transcends the game of golf. I don't think he's above the game of golf per se. I think we've learned that, but as far as athletes go, he's in that realm of guys and icon. If you don't know golf and you see a picture of his face, you know who he is.
You on that last green in Augusta, you're sitting on the edge of the bunker, and I just watched this. Drake alluded to it in the intro. He's more of a golf fan. I was never a golfer. I've gotten slightly more into it recently, but I am trash, of course. But I have been in moments where literally the ball is in my hand. I don't know if if you've listened to the podcast, you probably know I was a former long snapper. So I think back to the 2016 Michigan game where Keith Duncan hits the field goal. And in that, you were there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So in that moment, I feel like I'm you, or maybe a similar situation where I'm up against that bunker on, I think it was 18, and you have to make that chip and run it down onto the hole. If no one's there standing on the course and it's just you and it's just a beautiful day, it's just a whole lot easier to make that shot. Same thing in Kinnick in 2016, man, I've made that snap 50 to 100 times a day for the last 2,000 days of my life. But it's just different when the moment settles in.
Yeah.
In that moment for you, with the electricity running through, you can feel it. It's palpable. What are the thoughts? How do you ground yourself in those huge moments?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was one of them, certainly. I mean, I guess fortunately I've had, quite a bit of those.
Yeah.
I mean, I from a 30,000 foot view, I go to, okay, and this is what I would tell a kid, this is what I would tell a peer of mine who's struggled, whatever it may be. I can't fully determine where that ball's going to go, right? And much like you, I mean, you can kind of, based on your practice, based on what you've done fundamentally, you can, there is an element of confidence and control based on just repetition, right? But I can't fully determine the outcome of that shot. So what I know I can control are those things that are completely controllable. I can control my walk, my cadence, my rhythm, my tempo, where my eyes go, how I'm breathing. I can get a lot more specific on that, what I'm drinking, what I'm eating, when I'm talking, when I'm not talking, et cetera, et cetera. So in instances like that, I'm not specifically that one. That's what I go back to. I just go back to the things that I know I can control, and I know that are efficient in manners in which I, control them. So breathing, I think, would probably be of the utmost. There's a couple protocols that I've implemented as of late that certainly have been helping. So back then, I didn't know everything I know now. Granted, I had one tournament on the PGA Tour prior to that, so I hadn't really established myself on a scene of that nature. That shot in particular, Tyler, I kind of got lucky in the sense that I stayed right of that left pin,
yeah,
which is imperative. I didn't hit a very good shot. It was a 6-iron, and I remember just stay right. Even if it's in the sand trap, it's fine. It's really not that hard of a shot, but just stay right of the pin. The wind was left to right, so now I've got this uphill shot, very, very benign lie into the wind, which on those greens that sounds like a chip shot. That's a big deal. I could have used 3 different wedges to chip this shot. I mean, that's fully being transparent there. It wasn't that tip. And so the last thing when I told my caddy, I'm like, hey, I got the line. It was like a putt, right? I'm like, I got the line. I just got to get this thing going because it's going to land on the downslope, and then it kind of rises back up to the hill, up to the hole and into the wind. So I'm like, any given day, I mean, I'm basically trying to make this shot. It was like that far outside the right edge and just hit it. And it came off perfect. And thank God I didn't have to putt it. I mean, I did, but it was this far, right?
Gimme.
It was a gimme. So if I look back on that moment, I'm very grateful that I went to a place where, hey, I've been here 1,000 times. I know exactly what this does. I've hit this big shot, in practice rounds. I mean, I know how to execute this shot. Let's just stick to what I know. There's my line. There's my landing zone. Take your 2, get in your routine. Your 2 practice strokes, 2 looks, go. And that was it. But even at that point, I've still got the big cat 2 holes behind me and a major championship at Augusta.
He's on the prowl.
I'll tell you what, in Iowa football, we were taught ad nauseum a concept that was running through my head the entire time you tell that story. And it's the concept that in the highest pressure situations, when the chips are down, you rise or fall to the level of your preparation. Mm-hmm. And you just told it there in a story about Augusta National on the 72nd hole. And that's freaking amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you guys know this. You guys have had phenomenal coaches there, still are. There's no other thing you can lean on except for what's gotten you there, right? I mean, and the trust that we did prepare properly, and especially when it comes to like something like Tyler, that's repetitive, right? That repetition of snapping the ball. I know elements change, temperature change. situational change, wind change. I mean, all of those are factors, but you've been there, you've done it, and you just got to go back to your keys and obviously just focus on those, because the outcome will take care of itself. I mean, I know that sounds kind of simple and mundane, but it does. It just, the more you focus on the process, the more you focus on actually the fundamentals, the true things that got you there, I think the better off you can perform.
Long snapping is so much
kind
like
of funny.
golf.
I was about to say this. I was about to make this comparison. I think you guys will find this humorous and a little bit true. What you do, Zach, and what Tyler did at Iowa are very similar, because it takes very much precision. And from the outside looking in, it does not look difficult. But when the pressure's on, being precise, it is much more difficult. For me, I am very, very much, or I was, like the caddy, because a caddy's job is to be the player's helper, have the right number, be his calming influence, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, I was just the running back and the lineman's helper, man. I just went in and I cleared out the guy that really needed to be cleared out and gave him the number, and he went and hit the shot. So
you gave him the line.
It's funny how this podcast is right now kind of like a golfer and his caddy.
Yeah, I think you guys are probably concussed a little bit more than I was, but
I was not.
And well, I know Drake was for sure, but
yeah, 100%.
You're right. I mean, you're a safety valve, Drake. You're the guy that takes care of quite frankly, a lot of the BS that the quarterback may not see, and that's exactly what my caddy does, right? Whether it's somebody moving, 30 yards away it's in my vision, whether it's seeing the wind on top of the trees that I don't notice. I mean, there's things of that nature that I'm so focused on what's right in front of me that I may not be. That's a great way to put it. I mean, we're a team, and oftentimes, much like you get the brunt of it. So does he. My caddy, I don't verbally get into that. That's not my style. But bottom line is this: I trust him, and I know he's in my best interest. So for any and every mistake that he's ever made, I've made that much, if not more. And at the end of it, it's my call. So, that's the beauty of a caddy-player relationship. And I think once players really understand it, it can be pretty fruitful and healthy. I feel very fortunate that the turnover of caddies and players out here is very high, because there's a lot of good caddies that get canned all the time. And it's just because they're impatient and they made a bad mistake. You know what I mean? They're humans. So anyway, going on, that's another story, but you're right. There's some definitive parallels there. Obviously, the repetition between what Tyler does and what I do. Probably the holder, obviously the kicker and the punter. There's a lot of parallels. I don't know if you guys are aware, but one of my dearest friends in the world is Jason Baker. So I talked to him.
Yeah, I did know that.
See, I did not know that, and that now makes a whole lot of sense as to how all of this happened, because Jason Baker was a guy that Kluver and them looked up to because of how unbelievably successful he was.
And Zach, you and Bake remind me much of each other. You guys, I'm sure you guys would, are.
There's definitely some parallels. We probably are pretty like-minded in a lot of things. I mean,
yes,
as far as how we raise our children and our marriage and things of that nature. Certainly, there's some structural, grounded, foundational things that are very much there.
Yeah.
Now that said, knowing him as long as I've known him, knowing some of his former teammates and some of his close friends, he is the most uninteresting man in the world.
Yes.
Right? And when he was competing, it was very much apparent. I mean, the man would get up, set time every day, eat his oatmeal, read his Bible, go work out, eat lunch. I mean, it was just.
He's a robot.
But he's a robot, and he was really good. I mean, he even admits to it. He's like, I had to work to be good, but he works, and he's an unbelievable human being. He
is. You grew up, born in Iowa City. I mean, you're black and gold to the bone, and grew up in Cedar Rapids, another thing Drake mentioned in the opening was you ended up going to Drake. Did you walk on to Drake? Was there money involved? Was there a scholarship?
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Like you guys may be aware of this. Obviously, Title IX has a lot to do with scholarship monies, depending upon the university. But at Drake, I still think it's the same. The college coach there now is one of my dear friends. I want to say it's 3.2 scholarships per team.
Okay.
Golf team, excuse me. At Iowa, for example, it's 4.5. So you get 4.5 scholarships. It just depends on how you divvy it up. Most of we had 5 freshmen my freshman year, and coach divvied those up. I don't know how he divvied them up, but it's based on, there's a lot of factors, academics and that sort of thing. It was the only Division I offer I had, so I didn't get a whole lot of golf money, but it helped. There
was some, and you were quoted, I believe, in your master's speech saying that you were never the best player on your high school team or your college team, but you just kept getting better. What is that? I feel like that holds true to this day for you. I feel like that's a pillar in a walk-on mindset, a walk-on kind of player. And what was it about that way of competing and playing the sport that meshed so well with you?
Yeah, I mean, what you said is not exaggerated at all. I mean, in high school, I was the number 2 guy. Our number 1 man played at Iowa. Really good friend of mine. So I was basically the number 2 guy by our senior year. I go to Drake, same kind of thing. We had a great team considering a small school like that, but I don't think Iowa State was always pretty good, but I don't think we ever lost to Iowa. I mean, at that point, their program was unfortunately on the decline. They're really good now.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah. So, I mean, it was where I was supposed to be. I mean, I was with a bunch of guys that the competition on the team was high. I think that was a key ingredient. Our coach was really motivated to take us to a place that this place had never been. We made nationals my junior year. And obviously, it was on, like I said, it was on a good team. I was the number 2 man probably by my senior year. But even that fluctuated. Again, we had great players. 2 of us turned pro. One of my roommates, teammates, and I turned pro. And, that was really one of those moments where I saw so much improvement year after year. And I mean, when I say that, I mean, it's not like it was 5 steps, but it was, a gradual step every year. And so I was that guy that, I had individuals around me, coaches, even friends, were like, hey, I mean, you're doing things you didn't do last year. So why not give this a try? I mean, no regrets. That was kind of my mentality. And so then I put together a program and had a bunch of individuals invest in me, buy stock in me, shares. And so I got the finances in order. And at that point, it was just really just golf. So I graduated and I just started pursuing the game, playing mini tours, playing around the Midwest. I moved down to Florida in the winter, kept playing down there, met my swing coach. And then from that point on, it was like pretty steady improvement again, year after year, just depending on what level I was playing at and getting opportunity. And that was all it was. And it still is really what it is. I mean, I've got a lot of peers and those young guys that just need opportunity. And so, again, I'm a product of great people and opportunity. And fortunately, when I've been given the opportunity, my mentality has always been one of let's get it. I mean, why not? I'm not supposed to, but I love that. I put the time in, I put the work in. I'm not flashy, but I'm effective. I'm efficient in what I do and how I do it. It's pretty boring, but at the end of the day, when I sign my scorecard, oftentimes it works out.
It sounds, wow, the parallels. It sounds like, because if you're the number 2 guy in your team and you're playing at Drake, it's not just like, hey, I'm turning pro and this is going to work out, not at all. And, but it sounds like you just took it day by day, and every day in a vacuum was working out. And so you just woke up the next day and did it again. And it feels so much like my life right now. And, you know, the question behind the start of that was, what was the backup plan? But knowing that it was kind of how it sounds like it turned out for you, it sounds like maybe you never really put a lot of thought into the backup plan because the first plan just kept working because you kept working. Is that right?
That is very, very accurate.
Yeah.
I get the question now, rightfully so. I get it. I mean, I'm 45, almost 46. Oh man, you get excited about the Champions Tour? I mean, if I think about it, I'm like, well, you know what? My wife and I might be able to travel again together. You know, once the kids fully are out of high school, things of that. But that's so far removed from I'm so focused on right now. And I had that back then. Like, I don't, sure. I mean, I get it. You got to be practical. You got to be realistic. I feel like I'm a pretty realistic individual. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I didn't want to go back to school. And that was always there, right? I mean, I could have gone back and got another degree or whatever. I could have got a real job. I could have worked at one of the clubs as an assistant pro and gone through that route, which is a very, well, difficult, but yet also fulfilling profession if you really love the game of golf. So
Right.
I had options, but I didn't dwell on them, nor did I want to pursue them. I wanted to go in. I gave myself basically 3 years, if you're going to get down to it. I told the individuals, I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, getting my finances in order, because I had nothing, right? I mean,
Right.
not only did I have nothing, I mean, I might have even had a little bit of debt too. So
Broke college kid.
Yeah, I mean, now my parents took care of me. I mean, I was
Sure.
but my parents were not a part of the finances. You know, I didn't want to go to I mean, they had 2 other kids younger than me that they have to worry about. So I got the finances in order. Great group of individuals, families back in Cedar Rapids. And once I had the freedom financially to pay for my necessities, right? Entry fees, lodging, car, etc., food, I could just go play. I never, you know, I mean, when my entire time free time was devoted to golf, I mean, then the improvement really came. And so I always had moderate to decent, you know, athleticism. I mean, I played everything. Obviously, I didn't play a whole lot of football. I mean, I would have if I was bigger, but I was late. I was late physically, I was late mentally, I was late in everything. And that's part of the reason. I felt like I was always 2 years behind, you know, a lot of my peers at my age, and from a physical standpoint, and certainly from a mental standpoint, until I turned pro and things kind of started to get up. You know, I started to take a few steps quick, jump, you know, leap past some steps and get to the higher part of the staircase. And again, that's goes back to all the people that helped me from day one. And then you get with a swing coach that you trust, who kind of, you know, breaks you down and builds you back up. You find some fundamentals that are a little more grounded. You know, you enter some tournaments that are a little bit bigger and you have success. And so, you know, I started winning at every level. I won on the very, very, very small mini tours. I won some state opens and silly kind of events like that, 1 day, 2 day events. And then I won a bunch of 4 day events. And eventually that catapulted me to the not the Nike Tour. What is it now? Corn Ferry Tour. And from there onto the PGA Tour. And obviously the rest is history.
The gratitude that you must.
It sounds like such a almost like minor league baseball system, except for longer, because minor league baseball, they draft you in there and they pay you at least, and all that stuff. But the long distance game that you had to play of trying to create yourself as a personal business, a one-man business, to put it on the tradable market so that people could buy your stock, to then just be able to play on these tour events that aren't the PGA Tour, to try and make it to the ultimate destination, which is several stops ahead. Like, it's minor league baseball, but with a whole extra handful of train stops along the way.
I think I saw one of them was called the Hooters Tour.
100% it was, and it was awesome. I mean, you know, the difficulty in that is you know, the purses were what they. I mean, you paid $1,000, maybe a little bit more, just to play each week.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it, it was set up just like the PGA Tour, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, practice rounds, pro-ams, Thursday, Friday, cut, Saturday, Sunday, you play on the weekend, etc. And I played there in 01 and 02 and won a lot of golf tournaments. Learned how to win, learned how to, turn those 73s into 70s and 70s into 68s and things of that nature. I can't stress that enough. There's some mini tour kids that live down here in South Georgia that I talk to. I'm like, I don't care where you play. I don't care if they're 1-2-day events, 3-day events. You gotta learn how to get better. You gotta learn how to win. You gotta play, compete often, because your goal is not to play the mini tour. Your goal is to, learn there so that you can get on the PGA Tour and not only stay out there but win out there. And that's the key. So Tiger did it, and I know he's the extreme example for anything in our sport, but he won at every level: junior, college, amateur, and then obviously his pro career came very, very quick, and he won immediately, and then dominated. So, you have to learn how to win, and I was able to do that. I was gifted the ability to go out there and not worry about anything else except for putting a peg in the ground on the first tee. I at the time, I probably took that for granted. Now, looking back on it and seeing some of my peers, Greg, you said it. I mean, when it comes to the parallels with baseball, right? I mean, I've still got buddies that are 45, 46 playing the mini tours, still trying, still having that dream and hope of trying to one day crack it. I mean, the odds are against them, just like they were with me, but they're still trying. And I don't fault that. If you got a dream and you have the wherewithal to do it, then give it a shot.
Hell yeah, because you only get to live life once, and what's to say that you're living life the wrong way if you're finding happiness in the way that you're doing things, man? Because that's really all life is about, is being able to be happy with your life.
No question. So yeah, I mean, it's a hard game. We all know that. It's going to beat you up, spit you out, but man, it brings you back out again. And that I appreciate. Again, I don't love it all the time, but I love the competition. I love the fact that the work I put in helps me compete. And that's that part. It's not hard to get me motivated to go work.
And so let me ask you this, when we were having the conversation before the podcast and you were talking about how you might not necessarily love golf, you like it, but you don't know if you love it. Would you say that you love the fact that golf is what you were able to do professionally? Like, you love your life because everybody has to find something to do professionally. Like, they have to have money to live. And you got to take what was your childhood passion and love. And even though it turns into a job and it becomes a whole lot less fun because of the pressures, you love the fact that that is what your life has amounted to.
Yeah. There's been times in my 23-year professional career where, all the cliche questions, why me, right? Why am I doing this? Why am I at this level? Why? And I can get into that. I mean, I'm very much a Christian man, spiritual guy. And I feel like those answers were given pretty quick. I mean, I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. And I firmly believe that God's got me right where I need to be. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And so I guess it comes down to semantics. I mean, I do like golf, and there's times where I do love it. I love being in contention. I love competing. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I've kind of gotten into pickleball, old man tennis. It's awesome.
Here we go.
I'm competing with my kids all the time. No, I'm not going to let you win. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I don't care if we're playing Yahtzee or whatever. That's chance. Horse. It's just not. It's not going to happen. But all that being said, I firmly acknowledge that it's my job. I'll give it its due time, and I'll give it every piece of me when called for. But I don't have to love it all the time. I'm 45, almost 46. My body does not love golf. I go to the PT 4 days a week. I'm working. I'm in the gym every day. It just depends to what capacity, right? I mean, I don't look like you two. Physically, when I'm sitting like this, day after day, year after year, in the same position, twerking and twisting, it's going to take its toll, but I've got great individuals around me, physio guys that help me combat that. And that's how I go about it. And I know that. So, I mean, the amount of shots I haven't had surgeries like most of my peers at my age. I shouldn't say that, some of my peers. So I'm fortunate in that regard, but I mean, it's taken a toll. And so there's days when I get up, I don't love my job, but that's okay. I mean, I still get to go play golf, and I know that that's not normal. And it didn't have to be me, but it is me. Now, my wife would say she picked me from a apartment of 6 young pros. And if she would have picked one of them, she'd be talking to you guys. So probably some truth there too. I don't know how, I don't know where. There's probably a fiber of truth in there. And I firmly acknowledge that too. I mean, again, I've got a wife that wants me to go play golf. And travel, and allows me to go pursue still my dreams of competing and winning golf tournaments. That's pretty awesome. I've got kids. I mean, I've got bigger responsibilities than hitting a golf ball and chasing it. So great sponsors that allow me the freedom to go do it too. So I mean, I don't take any of that for granted anymore. I know my place. I know where golf sits in the hierarchy of my life. But I do. I love the competition. I don't always love the game.
Yeah, that's just another.
So here on the concept of traveling, do your family and your kids like Scottsdale, Arizona by chance?
I'm actually going to be out there this year again, playing in Phoenix. My kids. I mean, I know they've been there. Maybe not my youngest. You know, once we had 3, it was kind of it's difficult to travel. Once my eldest kid got into like normal school, and we wanted to keep normal. I mean, we both, we weren't homeschooled or anything of that nature. So, my kids go to school, and home life is home life. It's just hopefully dad's home, occasionally. Really what it boils down to. I don't go more than about 2 weeks on, and then I gotta go. So things have changed. We used to travel on a bus when we had, even 2 kids. We did that, and prior to that. So, one of the coolest parts of my job, because we're talking about it, is the fact that I'm able to travel and go to places that are pretty fantastic and play on golf courses that are really, really good. I mean, really good. It's also by far the worst part of my job. So seasons of life, right? I mean, my eldest is 15, diehard football guy. He'll be 15 in 2 weeks.
Heck yeah.
Loves it. And he's a big kid. So he's going to, in that regard, unlike his dad, he doesn't mind hitting, he doesn't mind getting hit, which is probably half of it at that point. So small school, plays football, a little DN, probably play a little on the O-line next year just because he's getting big. He's got a new trainer, started yesterday, he's working out. So he's a meathead, but he's a great kid. Loves football, loves to pound it. So it's good.
Man, that makes me happy. I already work. So this is where, by the way, I could talk to you for 10 hours. I know you don't have that time. The physical component has come up several times. Started in the start of the podcast where you're talking about walking, 4 or 5 rounds a week. And it's not just what you see on TV where the guy standing still hitting a ball, right? Like it takes a physical toll. You've talked about how you're 46 and the body doesn't feel like it did when it was 30, right? Like when you won the Masters.
Right.
You said you're in the gym every day. How do you approach the non-skill side of golf, the physical side? I see you're sipping on, it looks like you're sipping on some like magical concoction there of life. Like some pre-workout watermelon, something, I don't know.
Yeah, it's called Live Pure. It's a supplement-based company that I'm very much in love with and a part of. But
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and so you're clearly, this is a huge side of the game, right? Especially as you get older, you have to be able to go out and swing and make sure your back is healthy and the legs feel good. And how do you approach that? And what have you learned from when you were 22 that you've now taken into your 40s?
I mean, I've learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot. I'm the physical side of the game. I mean, I'm in that generation where Tiger took it to a whole new level, right? I mean, a whole new level. And there's some guys before him, Greg Norman, even Gary Player, I guess you could say, way back, right? guys that took the gym seriously. But it was never a thing, right? I mean, it was never. Now, I mean, even almost at the turn of the century, then I'm still kind of. I mean, it's a full-fledged industry now, right? I mean, golf, fitness is an industry. There's a lot of companies out there. TPI, they're probably the pioneer. I mean, one of the biggest and pioneers of titles. TPI, Titles Performance Institute. Great guys, known them for 20 years. But as a kid, the fitness side of things, the supplement side of things, the nutrition, it was, I don't want to say it was, pounded into me, but my dad's a chiropractor. And so very much that kind of thing was just a way of life for me. You know, I was always the guy that had this igloo cooler of some supplement that didn't taste like Gatorade that frankly I drank because my dad said it was better. And so I drank it. And I still am that way. Now full circle, I employ a guy out of Dallas. He's a chiropractor, but he's a lot more than that. Dr. Troy, and he's got me and probably 7 or 8 other guys on tour that he works with. You know, I mean, we're doing blood testing. We're checking out levels. You know, periodically. We're doing. Obviously, he does all my table work, manipulations, tissue work, things of that nature, cupping. I got cupping marks up and down me right now. I mean, that was at the PT yesterday. Occasional needling, you know, things of that nature that just alleviates and or promotes whatever, better symmetry, balance, you name it. I mean, I'm not going to be symmetrical. I'm not going to be balanced. I mean, my spine and my back, because I'm in one position all the time, there's differences. And that's okay. But hey, how can we alleviate the worst of it, right? Getting under the knife or shots in the shoulder, which I've had, or back or whatever. I just don't want to go down that route. So the gym to me is everything I do physically is one, to promote longevity and injury prevention. At that point, if I have any sort of decent, you know, if everything's firing right, I think I can go out and compete at a pretty high level. But there's things that surface that peek its head. It's just because of my age and the nature of the game that I got to attend to. And it sometimes it stinks. I don't, it's kind of like practicing. I don't mind practicing. I really don't mind as I've gotten older getting in the gym. I'm more efficient in there. I know what I need to do. I can get a lot done in 30 minutes. I mean, ideally I'll have an hour plus, but you give me some space, some bands, and I don't need a cardio machine, but something, I can get a lot done just with body weight, just utilizing my hotel room for that matter, but I prefer to get in the gym, and I actually enjoy it. That's my podcast time. So, I listen to you guys all the time during that and just sweat it out a little bit, maybe
you can either find an excuse or find a way, right?
That's right. And that's exactly right. It's almost like when I get up in the morning and I got to get warm. That's just where I'm at. I know structurally I'm okay, but there's some arthritic issues. There's some just some spinal issues I just got to attend to. And again, that's okay. I've got great individuals around me that help me do that. That also keep me accountable, that motivate me and push me, frankly, make me uncomfortable at times. But again, I want to be stretched. I want to get better. I want to grow. I don't want to be content with where I'm at. So push me. I may not like it at first, but you can push me. And I think that's the beauty of sports. I think that's the beauty of this game, and certainly where I'm at right now. I want to get better. I don't, there's a level of maintenance in this game, but it's a fine line between overly just maintaining what you have physically, fundamentally, and then trying to get better, right? I don't want to get in that mode of just strictly, I think I got that down, No, you can get better. I can make my strength stronger. I can make my weaknesses better. So let's get after it.
Yeah. You were the honorary captain of our game against Maryland in Kinnick Stadium in 2015. Jug was in the building, and somewhere I have a picture of me and you in the Jug. I'm sure Drake does too.
I also have a picture of the claret jug, and my father was unbelievably jealous when I showed him that picture. Another diehard golf fan. He couldn't believe that I got to get my hands on the claret jug.
What was that day and like just, being, because you've talked about and you're very open on social about your fandom for the Hawks. What was a day like that connected to Iowa football? What did that mean to you?
Sure. Well, I mean, here, put it this way. I remember I was driving from, I think it was the Northern Trust. I don't remember the term. It doesn't matter. It was in New Jersey. It was the first playoff event of the FedEx Cup in 2015. So it would have been late August, early September, something. No, it would have been August, because I'm driving from New Jersey to Boston for the second leg. It's not that far of a drive. Just get in your car and go, rental car and go, right? And I remember receiving a phone call from Kurt Franks,
The big man himself.
Oh my gosh, what's this all about? I mean, if we communicate, it's, I would mean, depending upon the, there was time, maybe once or twice, 2 or 3 times. Man, that man writes so many cards and like letters. Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Anyway, so obviously we have a conversation. He's like, hey, I'd love for you to come back to Iowa City, be honorary captain of a game, just check your schedule, get back to me when you can. We're trying to fill things up, and they also got this unbelievable program with the kids captains. And he's like, hey, we'll get you out there. We'd love to have you, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I've heard of the program. I really didn't know what that entailed. So obviously I checked my calendar. I checked my wife, really, when can we go back to Iowa City? When can we go back to Cedar Rapids? Make it a family affair, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was the game that was on the calendar. He's like, you're in. I'm like, okay. And so at that point, now I'm nervous. I'm talking to Baker a lot, by the way. Talking to Dallas, Clark a little bit, like, hey, what's in store here? And they both kind of helped me out, but as you know, I mean, shoot, you're really there Friday, right? I mean, you're talking to the team Friday. We did a little Bible study before the team. Yes, before the team meeting. I mean, I was nervous wreck. Iowa football is a part of my childhood. I mean, it just is. My grandparents had tickets. Obviously, my parents, aunts, and uncles still do, et cetera, et cetera. So that was our Saturdays. 6, 7 Saturdays a year. And so now I'm speaking to these individuals, and in my mind, it's kind of a strange dichotomy where I feel like they're older. I know they're all bigger, but they're older than me. But I'm yet twice their age, right? So it's kind of strange in the sense that this is like, I mean, this is the team of the 80s, but it's not.
The little kid in you was in that room, not the PGA professional.
Right. I'm waiting for Ronnie Harmon and Chuck Long and Andre Tippett to walk through, but no, it's an entirely new ensemble of studs, and that's great. It's just different. So I kind of still fall into that mentality, just because I'm a fanatic, and it's all. I don't know if I'm a fanatic. It's all I know. I mean, it's
life.
Just so. I mean, I was born there. My mom got her master's there. My dad got his undergrad there. It's just a part of our family. So it's really all I know. And so yes, now I've been chosen to do this. I mean, I'm a nervous wreck. What do I say? Baker's like, it doesn't really matter what you say. Just be you. And he was right. And frankly, I don't have the idea what I said, but I had a great day. I got to witness whatever it's Friday. Friday's kind of a walkthrough, right? So it really wasn't practice.
Fast Friday.
That's right. Yeah. And so that was great. And then obviously the game was awesome. Having a claret jug in the stadium. I'm going to go on the limb and say that's never happened.
No chance.
Not saying.
And don't tell anybody I said this, because this isn't on a podcast or anything, but that's the coolest trophy that's ever been in that locker room. Fuck all the trophies we played for. That was the coolest one by a mile.
It is. It's, my wife has a really good way of putting things in perspective. I had that thing for a year, right? And when you have something, I didn't take that thing for granted, but I let my coaches have it for 3 or 4 weeks here or what have you, and they're part of it, and my team. But when you don't have that thing, oh my gosh, it's done. It sucks. I want to get it back so bad. I mean, it's because it's awesome. It's I would argue one of the coolest trophies in sports. Stanley Cup's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. And it goes.
I was just about to say Stanley Cup and claret jug are the top 2, I think.
I'd have, I think you'd have a hard time arguing against that. I would agree with you. I mean, the Green Jacket's different, but it's also cool. There's a lot of cool trophies out there, but having that thing there to celebrate, and plus that year, I mean, if you think about it, that no one gave you guys a chance, and lo and behold, you're frankly, one stop away from being in the Final Four. I mean, I know you guys know that. I mean,
Yep.
it was an unbelievable year. I mean, it was, I mean, it came down to it was still an unbelievable year, regardless of how you look at it. I mean, I've got in my gym, I've got my mom gave it to me for Christmas.
The 12-0, the perfect season.
Perfect season.
Yep.
12-0. I mean, all the Gazette, I think it was all the Gazette front sports pages.
I've got it in my basement as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still remember that vividly. I remember so many things about that year. I remember watching the Nebraska game on an island with my family. We were down there for Thanksgiving celebrating, and we were in Mexico. No, we were in Mexico, and my nephew at the time had to like rewire things and use something to get the game on because we couldn't get the game. He got the game. So I mean, a lot of stories from that year. You guys just rise into every occasion. That's what I appreciate about Iowa football. And there's been teams that are really, really, really talented that Kurt's had. But more times than not, I kind of like this year, they shouldn't be 10-2, 10-3. I mean, a pretty inept offense for the most part,
Very.
They are. The scoreboard is what it is, right? They were able to win games in a different manner. And I think it's one of the best years that I've ever seen. I mean, if I'm going to get down to it, and I'm excited for the future. I think the roster they have, and I know it way more than I should. I thought a year like this was maybe a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years away. But to have it happen this year, I don't want to say I was shocked, but I was pleasantly surprised.
It's what Drake and I said maybe 2 months ago when we were looking at recruiting over the last couple of years in the roster. This next year in 23 could be some teams.
Could be some teams. The schedule changes, and that's fine. But actually, that's great. I mean, you welcome that. But man, the roster's got a great foundation and great youth. I mean, this team is so young as it is. And there's always going to be pickups. I know there's going to be some turnover here or there. You never know. Attrition's a part of it, et cetera. But they know what they're doing. I mean, he's got a great way of looking at things. And if it doesn't go his way with this guy or that guy, they'll find the next guy. That's the beauty of Iowa football. One constant thing, there's two constant things. One's Kirk and two's the fans. They ain't leaving. Yep.
Drake, you got any more questions? I have one more question specifically, but I'll let you get one in.
Well, I just don't have much of a question, but I want to extend an offer to Zach. This coming June 4th, we are going to host the first ever Washed Up Walk-Ons charity golf tournament. And it is going to the Stead Family Children's Hospital, but not just the hospital. We donate directly to the kids. We were just able to make a $17,000 Christmas donation this year for Christmas presents for the kids, fully based off this podcast and our listeners and our support. And so we're really trying to give back to our listeners as much as possible. This thing's really turned into a family ordeal. And so we're trying to put together a little listener meetup charity golf tournament. And we're going to have as many guys as want to show up, but at least 18 big time Hawkeye players, former players, teammates, guys who just love the game. And I want to extend an invite to you that if you are potentially open on June 4th, we would love to have you, man. And that's how I'll end this.
He's probably busy.
I appreciate that. That's a very kind offer. Guys, that's amazing. Congratulations to what you guys are doing. That's awesome. I mean, my guess is you never thought I'd get to this point.
Never.
Jesus.
Never in a million years.
I tell you, this is used in this kind of medium for the right ways. You guys have done a great job. I applaud you. I mean, 200, what was it? 270 something?
279.
Yeah.
We've probably got over 300 episodes in with our extras.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all are just starting. That's awesome. Congratulations.
We'd like to think so. And you're probably busy in June, but if
what I figured.
I mean, you never know. I mean, we try to get back, I get back to my foundation events.
Right.
Cedar Rapids. Ideally, I don't have COVID this year during it. So, we get back periodically, but hey, if it doesn't work out this year, there's a pretty darn good chance you guys will do it again. I mean,
we plan on doing it every year from here on out.
I'm sorry.
We plan on doing it every year from here on out.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, keep extending my invites every year. I was
every year you'll have one.
Yep.
Perfect.
Go
ahead.
Your foundation has been able to do some pretty incredible things as well. If you want, you can talk about that and plug that a little bit. But I read something like 1.1 million raised at the last tournament you did, or something like that, or maybe total was that number. But some pretty great stuff going on with you over there.
Yeah, well, shoot. I mean, I'm just the catalyst. This is a whole nother podcast, boys.
Well, you can come back if you'd like.
No. I can summarize it. I mean, it is. Outside of having my own kids, it's probably been the most humbling thing I've ever been a part of. The mere fact that the community that gave me and still gives me so much, I'm able to go back there and try to provide some sort of opportunity for families and children that just need a boost. I mean, things that I can't speak on behalf of y'all, but I know where you guys, grew up. I know where you played in college, et cetera. Things that we took for granted. I mean, whether it was just, academic help, athletic help, whatever it was, or just the opportunity to go play sports, we're able to do that. And so we're helping these kids in and out of the classroom, basically, all throughout the school year and in the summer, and then we'll take them into college. And so it's a very all comprehensive collaborative effort with a number of individuals and entities. But it's been fantastic, and we're starting to grow. My board deserves so much credit, and they would say that our staff of Kids on Course, that's the program, deserve most, if not all, the credit. And they've done an amazing job. Again, first bell to last bell, after school and summer. So we've had to navigate things in a different manner, like everybody has. COVID sucks, and it's thrown a wrinkle in things, but we shifted. We kind of just went about it in a different manner, looked at it from a different lens, and did it in a different way. So a lot of things. We're helping these kids, whether it's just food, shoes, or reading a book. I mean, we're in with them and establishing those relationships. So it's been, I'm not there. I'm inspired, motivated, and like I said, humbled all the time by it. It's been fascinating. 11 years now almost, and the community deserves all the credit because it's theirs. It's a community helping their community. So
that's awesome.
See where it goes. Yeah.
Well, you certainly helped us today. And again, like I said, the best Christmas gift that us and our listeners, and I do want to say this, our third co-host that is here occasionally.
He is disgusted.
He's got a real job. This is sort of my real job now. Drake has his stuff that he does. He said that it was, quote, complete and utter bullshit that he wasn't going to be able to make today's episode. And he was not happy with me, but I just wanted to put that out there. So maybe at some time we'll have you back on in a year or 2 years and talk some more, but
love to do it. Yeah. I'd love to do it. There's whatever, there could be a new topic of discussion that we can focus on. I'm part of it. Shoot, I might have to start asking you boys questions. It's because I love it so much.
We can answer.
You got to get Casper's boy to go to Iowa, man.
Man, I've been on him. Casper and I, we're pretty good buddies. I went to the game at Williams Field. The kid is an absolute stud. I cannot believe that somebody can be such a specimen at 17 years old. It doesn't make any sense to me, but we've got a stiff competition, and I don't know what I can offer him that a university cannot. So I'm struggling to rack my brains figuring out how I'm gonna get this thing done.
No. I mean, you guys know this. I mean, well, thankfully he grew up in the Midwest, right? Before they moved down there. But sure, it seems like Kevin and his wife, they got a lot of studs in that family, great kids, athletes. And any parent's going to say, hey, I want my kid to be happy. So, he's got black and gold in him, but everybody's got to choose their own route. I was just messing around. So
Yeah.
Well, Zach, thank you. Episode
Yeah, I was gonna
200.
say, I can't thank you enough for taking some of your free time away from the family and some of that peace and quiet time that you can get, the respite to sit down with us, man. This has been the coolest hour that we've had on this podcast in a long, long time.
It's my pleasure, boys. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love the discussion. We'll do it again. I
Yes.
promise. I love it again. Just holler and
yeah.
send dates. You never
Yes.
know. Can't do it this year. Again, you guys ain't going anywhere. Frankly, I ain't going anywhere. So we'll get it done.
Staying
Rock
here,
on,
baby.
brother.
Episode 279 with the man, the legend, the Iowan, Zach Johnson. Thank you guys for listening. We will talk next time. Peace.